According to Catalyst Digital, more digital transformation happened in 2020 than in the previous decade. The expansion of programmatically available inventory and platforms, the rise of new consumer channels, and the rapid acceleration of e-commerce adoption have converged, forcing brands to reframe their media strategy towards a holistic, integrated approach. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Oluja Kemosaku with the topic Closing Acceleration Gap in E-commerce. Damilare Arowolo, a digital marketing executive, is my guest. Please stay with us. But before we delve into the program proper as usual, I'd like to remind you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Until then, please enjoy the ride with us. Thank you so much, Damilare, for coming on the show. It's nice having you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
So what is acceleration gap?
Yeah, so basically, acceleration gap is the distance or the gap that exists between the industry growth and the growth of your brand, which is basically where your brand is at the moment and where the industry or the sector that in which your brand operates, where they are at a particular moment. So, an acceleration gap will exist when you are not in tandem with how the industry is moving, which means that you are probably lagging behind the things that other competitors in the industry are doing. You are not doing them yet.
Now, what are the key concepts for a successful acceleration?
So the key concept for successful acceleration is number one thing is how you respond to change because just like you said in the opening statements that during the 2020 COVID-19 surge, there were a lot of acceleration when it comes to the e-commerce platform because people were limited and restricted when it comes to movement, and so they had to like tilt towards how they can get things done without having to move around. So which brought about a change in the e-commerce industry because a lot of people don't know that change is very, very important when it comes to acceleration. You have to be able to respond to change quickly. You have to know what your market changes are, what when they come, and what the consumer demands are at a particular point in time. Because consumer demand might change with time, and a lot of brands fail to realize this as fast or as quick as possible. And then a major thing is also data. Data is important. As a matter of fact, a lot of school of thought we say data is life because data is what we allow you to have the kind of information that will help you respond to acceleration or that will help you respond to change and growth. And without this data, there is not much that you can do. There is, even if you want to do much, there will be a lot of things that you do not need to do that you will do. But data allows you to be able to do things that you need to do and to do them how you're supposed to do them. So another concept that I would always love to look at is the concept of cultural diversity. A lot of people don't know that culture plays a major role in every industry. What do I mean by culture? It's not just about the background or the societal norms that a particular people has been used to from start. Sometimes it can be as a result of a switch in generation. For example, we say we have the Gen Zs now who prefer to actually buy their things online, shop online. So a lot of times we need to understand what culture is in trend, what culture are people imbibing, what are people doing these days, and when brands cannot come into sync with the cultural change, they might notice that they are rapidly lagging behind. And we also have to look at when it comes to the skilled labor, the skills that you have, that is the people that are working with the brand. It's very, very important that you have the right skilled labor in your business to be able to accelerate very well. For example, if the world has moved into tech and your brand is supposed to move into tech or use some new software, and then you have nobody with that skill, definitely your competitors will have a kind of edge ahead of you because technically your competitors are doing have the skills, have the staff that can do what you cannot do. So it's very much important that probably you train your staffs in the skill set that moves in sync with what is going on in society, or perhaps you might also employ people that are very skillful and useful to you in that regard. So I feel that this is important. And also, the concept you should look at is the yardstick, which is the yardstick in which the success in your industry is measured in your sector. So, for example, how do you measure success in a particular sector? Is success measured in terms of what are the parameters that we use. And sometimes you can use some big players, some key players to actually know this. For example, in the e-commerce sector, let's say you want to use Amazon to measure be a yardstick for how you can know that your brand is doing well. Or let's say you want to use in Africa, for example, the big players, which is Jumia and Konga, you can want to use them as a yardstick to understand that, okay, how are we doing? What's our acceleration like? What's our growth like? So it's very important that we look at this key concepts to be able to know if we are doing well or is otherwise.
Now, how can someone identify his or her brand's acceleration?
Okay, so from the points that I made earlier in terms of the concept, so my answer also revolves around those concepts. How you can identify revolves around the concept of acceleration. For example, the number one identification is that you look at the company's goal. Look at the company goals. What are your goals? Are you meeting your goals? Are you meeting your target? If you are not meeting your targets or you are not meeting your goals, then you have to be sure that you are not accelerating the right proportion and you have a gap that you need to fill up. And another thing is you have to look at the number of the staff you have. You have to look at the labor that you are working with, this kind of skill set that you have. Is it the ones that is very useful for you in that industry, or is it the ones that it's not useful? And then another thing you have to look at is how you get your data, the kind of data that you are using, and how relevant those data are to your business. So you have to, because the world is now data driven, and we cannot lie to ourselves. If you e-commerce, most especially, is majorly data driven. If you want to scale through e-commerce, you have to be data driven. You have to use data. You have to translate data into things that can ultimately become a major tool for sales. So looking at the data is one of the major gaps that you need to fill. You have to make sure that you're getting the right data. Getting the right data is very important, and translating those data into something that you can use to fill the gaps that you have in your business or in your platform. So another thing is to check what your competitors are doing. It's very important that we note what our competitors are doing. And if we don't lie to ourselves, we know if our competitors are doing better than us, and we know if we are doing better than them. So a lot of times, the answers that you seek is in looking into your competitors in the industry, and you will easily find the answer to know if you are actually doing well or otherwise is the case.
Okay, thank you for that. You kept mentioning data. Which of the data are we talking about? Is it the list, the company, data like the list of customers or clients, the number of people that are coming in daily, or we are talking about this internet data?
Okay.
Just to clarify.
All right, yeah, that's important. So data is a very big concept, and a lot of times data differs based on industry and based on what they are being used for. So when I talk about data here in relations to e-commerce, I'm talking about your users and your proposed user, your target audience, your market. What do they want? In what direction are they tilting towards? And then a lot of times you can looking at your target consumer, your target market can allow you to access a lot of data, which will in turn allow you to translate those data into what you can use to scale your business. For example, people that shop online have a particular kind of behavioral pattern when we look at their data, the target audience, where do they visit more? Okay, for example, if the kind of users you are looking at visit YouTube more, you should be able to have that kind of data to know that when you are doing your marketing should be targeted towards YouTube. Let's say they use Facebook more. When you are doing your marketing, the market should be targeted towards Facebook more. So it's important that you can generate this data, whether from existing users, whether from people that already are in your platforms, from their pattern, from how they do their things, or the pattern of how they buy, their pattern of buy. Or you can also get new data from probably checking for experts online or what the industry is saying. You can also do some research on the industry and try to see the kind of people that are operating in the industry now, the kind of consumers that we have now, and what they prefer. So having access to this data is very important for the growth of an e-commerce brand.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's quickly go on this break. We will be right back. Welcome back. The program is Let's Talk, and we've been discussing closing acceleration gap in e-commerce. And my guest has been the digital marketing executive, Damilare Arowolo. Thank you so much for standing by, Damilare. It's been wonderful having you and discussing this topic with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, moving on, what can be done with these gaps to actually maximize profits?
Okay, what can we do to this gap is
to fill these gaps, actually.
Okay, to fill the gap. Just like I stated earlier, the number one thing I will still talk about is data. What data tells you is what you will be able to denote. Whatever you're getting from data is what you can denote to say, okay, let's say there's an acceleration gap. How do you know that there is an acceleration gap? What makes you know that there is an acceleration gap is the kind of data that you have and how you're able to translate those data. For example, one example of data is, okay, let's say your company is making 10 million naira, and another company that is your competitor just declared that they made about 200 million naira in profit. Definitely, you know there's a gap already. And how do you have to take note that how does this brand make 200 million and I'm making just 10 million naira? So you have to know how you can close that gap. And then you have to also understand if there is a reduction in the number of users you have, you know, the number of buyers that you have. For example, let's say in the 2022, you have about 100,000 buyers. Then in 2023, the number reduced to 80,000, which means that there is a problem going on and you've been doing the same thing. So to close this gap, you need data and you need to translate those data to make sure that they are giving you the right results that you want. From there, you know the marketing move to do. And then another way is from digital marketing to close gap. You have to check that you have technology, use technology to your advantage, which is in terms of digital marketing. When we come to e-commerce, digital marketing is very important, which is trying to get your target audience from different digital platforms, from different sources, and to be able to get them. And then also, it's important that you employ the right skills because a lot of times the difference between you and another company that is doing better is that that company has the right set of skills working with them, while you don't have the right set of skills working with you. So it's important that you look at the employees that you are going to have or the people you are going to bring on board, whether as a consultant, whether as an employee or in any regard that will help you close that gap is very much important. And with that is where the labor force is important in closing acceleration gap because the right skills we can be all the difference that a brand needs to scale up the acceleration gap.
Now, as a digital marketing executive, how would you help people actualize the stream of accelerating the gaps that have already been in existence, comparing that to this present time? Because there was a time that people don't even know how to fill up the space or what to do. But thank God for the digital age that we are right now. You know, you can get things done first. So as a person, as an executive in this field, how can you help people in case we have someone who is looking for an expert to help?
So the question should be, how have I been helping people to close this gap? Because, you know, I'm in this space already. So technically, if I say I'm in this space, I should be closing this gap. So what we are looking at is in Africa, the countries in Africa are referred to as developing countries, the third world countries, which means that it's a bit when some people say if technology is 10 over 10 in the US, in Africa it's still 3 over 10, which means that there is still a lot of gaps that needs to be filled. And one of the major constraint in this is because of the cultural diversity that I talked about. The African cultural the African cultural prevalence as is in such a way that it does not allow fast growth in terms of technology. It does not allow fast growth because of a lot of the reception of Africans to technology. So that is why the first world orders have been doing a lot of things, and we are still like we are following them behind. So what I've been doing is that we are doing a lot of awareness to making sure that people see the opportunities that exist in the digital space. People see the opportunities and how it makes the lives easier. I always tell people that the number one thing about digital space is that it makes life easier. So if you are looking at the digital space, you have to look at a way to make life easier for people. When people use e-commerce, they can buy things at the comfort of their homes. When people use Facebook, they can chat with people all over the world from the comfort of their home, and so on and so forth. So if we can harness these platforms and use them to our advantage, it's always an advantage. So I've worked with different brands, and what we do is we always come up with digital campaigns in order to make sure that we close this gap. And it's always been very, very useful because a lot of companies that are supposed to be, they leave a lot of money on the table when it comes to digital media in Nigeria, most especially. A lot of money is left on the table. A lot of people that are supposed to be making up to like 100 million naira monthly, making 10 million naira because they do not pay attention to the gap that exists in the online space. And if we come with the right set of data, and we've been able to come with the right set of data rather, and we've been able to see how we can reach their target audience, whether by creating relatable content by storytelling, or whether by using the technology that we have, that is the marketing tools that is provided in the digital space, to make sure that we reach their target audience and we can help them scale up their business and we can help them fill up this gap. And that is why recently you notice that a lot of a lot of unicorns are emerging in the market of in the Nigerian market. And most of these unicorns are fintechs. Most of them are technological companies. Most of our companies that harness the power of the digital space to operate. So I think that we've been doing well so far. We are not there yet, but we've been doing well so far in
Thank you
Africa.
for that. And you keep getting better. Now, just a quick one. What is a programmatic buying, and how does it drive integration in closing acceleration gap?
Okay. So programmatic buying is an automated way of buying adverts. It's more like using a software to run your digital advert. So let me give a scenario so that it can be explanatory. So normally, as a digital marketing executive, what we do is that we place adverts on the online space. We run campaigns and we put those campaigns on the online platforms or in digital space. But a lot of times we do these things manually. We Number one, from our own thought process, we come up with what the audience target audience should look like from our thought process. We come up with what target audience should look like, and then a lot of times we are being left with doing the manual work of the setup, the marketing, and every other thing manually. But when it comes to programmatic buying, it is automated, which means that you have a machine or an AI tool that will help you to come up with the right data and help you to come up with the right set of ads and help you to place those ads in the appropriate channel, which means that instead of you going to instead of thinking about how will I look for a target audience or how will I get better sales, which channel will I use? If you are using a programmatic ad software, it already does all those ad work for you. So all you need a digital marketing executive for, or if you need anyone at all, is to make sure that these things are running right and to make sure that you are optimizing it. So the only thing that is left is optimization when you are using programmatic. The setting up is done by the system, and it is easy for you to like run your marketing. It's easy for you to automate your marketing and then integrate it. Most importantly, it's easy for you to integrate it into your business.
Thank you for that. Any final word?
Yeah. Okay. My final word is that the I believe that we need to still reach out to a lot of people in this side of the world to understand that digital space is here to help us. It's here to make our life easier. We need to like open our minds, keep an open mind to how the digital space is being run and how it's working. As much as there's advantages and disadvantages to everything, but in order for us to reach a certain level where our life is so much easier, we need to embrace the digital space and we need to utilize it appropriately in making sure that we get our desired goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And to you out there, thank you for being part of the show. Remember, the digital space is here to make our lives better. So let's ensure that we maximize every potential that is in it. Until next time, when I come your way again with another exciting topic, I remain Onuja Kemsa. Bye for now.